Thanks for pressing play. Brian here, Fitzpatrick's Garage, Dublin Road, Kildare. I want to show you this car here. This is a bit of an unusual one. 1 litre turbo VTEC, and this is an automatic Honda Civic, and this is what's called a premium model. This particular example, we actually sold the car when it was brand new, and the car's actually got a full service history, previously owned by a clergy member. The premium model's got some lovely features like full heated leather and a glass roof. So in this video, we're going to look around the features on the outside of the car, and we're going to have a look at the features on the inside of the car. And we're also going to go for a drive in the car and just see how it behaves in terms of acceleration and handling on a back road. Let's start off by looking around the eye-catching design on the outside. The front end of the car is so distinctive. Every time I see these coming towards me on the road, they just stand out so much, but in a good way. It's a really nice, aggressive looking vehicle at the front. Okay, so starting off on the outside of the car then, they're such an aggressive looking car, these Honda Civics. And that front end has actually got quite a few features. Even starting off, there is parking sensors on the front of that car. The headlights are an auto dip function, which we'll talk about in a little while when we're talking about the safety. There's front fog lights down low, and you'll even see in the bottom right hand side, there's a small little radar on the front, and again that's to do with safety. We're going to talk about that a little bit further on in the video too. I also really like those daytime running lights that are on the car as well. They just make the car look really wide when it's coming towards you, but it's actually a really wide car anyway. This car is actually wider and longer and lower than the previous model that went before, and that's why it's such a cool looking car, I think. Looking down the side of the car then, the wheels are a 17-inch diamond cut wheel. So you'll see they have that lovely reflective shiny finish, so at night time or even during under artificial light, there's a lovely reflective finish off the wheels. It looks really cool when they're turning. And I'm also really fond of the side marker on the side of the bumper and wing. I'm not sure why, I just think it's really cool looking, especially when you're behind the vehicle. Because I find when I'm on a motorway just behind one of these, you can see the little side marker up front, and it just makes the car, again, it adds to that wide look on the vehicle. It just catches your eye when you're behind one, and that rear end, it's such a distinctive looking rear end at night time, because of the silhouette of those lights, which are actually a nice LED, so they look very cool at night time. But again, like the front, as I was saying, when the front is driving towards you, it's so distinctive, and that rear end, if it's driving away from you, it's also really distinctive as well. And just like the front end of the car, there are parking sensors which are standard on the rear of this premium model as well. And I like all the black. Some people have given out about the grills, they're not sure if they like them on the back, but here's the thing, right? Silver car on the outside, black grille, black diffuser along the bottom, black sections along the back of the bumper here. Coming round, we got black on the wheels, we have black privacy glass on the rear, we got a black sunroof up through here, and then on the front of the car we've got a big black nose as well, black grills along the front, and a black splitter section down along the front through here. It's really congruent, it just comes together really well. Even one of the rear mounted spoilers is black as well, and then we have a colour coded one up high, and they are there to channel air off the rear of the car in the most aerodynamic way possible. And like what we said, this is a premium model, so I get this keyless entry sort of setup up along through here. So I'll show you that in a sec, but first of all I can use it manually, which is going to turn on the headlights. It also allows me to retract things like the sunroof and the windows. Or similarly then, I can use it to basically retract that sunroof and the wing mirrors and the windows as well. The other thing about keyless entry, I suppose, is you put that into your pocket, and when you walk up to the car, you just literally put your hand out, and if you hear it, it clicks open because it recognises that your hand is there. Open the door, wing mirrors come back out. Or similarly, if you're finished your journey, hit the button along here, hit it 2 times in a row, the car's locked and the wing mirrors have retracted, and you just walk away. Or where I find that to be really useful, the car is currently locked, but if I have the key in my pocket, I can open the boot and throw my stuff in without rooting for keys. Which brings me on to the boot. The boot in these cars is massive, because we brought these cars on holidays the whole time, and we would load up stuff in the car, unnecessary stuff, like everyone does. There's so much space in the back of this car. I think one of the main reasons for it is because you have this here, so that comes out of the way, and then it's the access point. Technically the saloon has a bigger boot, but this is way more accessible. That is really usable. And then if you want, you can slot the seats forward, which means you end up with a load area that is actually comparable to a light commercial vehicle. So this being a premium then, it gets a premium interior. So there is brushed aluminium with leather on those rear doors. The interior though has a lovely full black leather interior. The rear front seats have kangaroo pockets, and as you'll see then there's 3 3-point safety belts, 3 head restraints, and also you've got Isofix in the seat in the rear on both sides. One thing I do have to say, the Isofix points, we have one of these cars at home. It's not a premium actually, it's a Smart Plus, which is a lower spec but similar in terms of seating, but the Isofix points are brilliant in these cars. I don't know why, it just slides in really easily. This leather is soft and it's comfortable and it's actually a nice place to be. And in terms of room, this is the headroom you get at 6 foot, and this is the leg room you get at 6 foot if you're sitting behind a 6 foot person. And because we're in a premium then, we have the sunroof, which makes looking out of the back into the front of the vehicle nice and bright. Similarly, the front of the car again has a nice premium feel to it with the black leather seats, which are heated this time. On the passenger side, one thing of note, there is lumbar support for the lower back of the passenger, and the driver also gets the same treatment, and up over our head then is that glass roof. The door cards have premium audio, which means they have tweeters, which are up high, as well as speakers down lower, so that's in the front and also the rear of the car. But there's even a speaker up on the dashboard as well, so the audio in this car is actually superior to the Smart Plus model. I love the sunroof. Sunroofs are class. They let so much more light into the car, and they're pretty friggin' rare in a car these days. The only bad news is if you got grey hair, it looks even greyer when the sunroof is open. But there is a cover. If you want, you can have the sunroof open and you can close the cover and your hair still looks grey. So if you want to get rid of your grey hairs, go talk to a barber. Anyway, there is electrics for windows and mirrors. And because we got keyless entry then, we got push button start and stop, and underneath that, the panel here then controls front and rear parking sensors, collision mitigation, which basically means under 30 kilometers an hour, if the car's about to impact an object, it senses you haven't touched the brake, then it's going to try and stop you if you don't touch the brake in time. There's lane change warning in through here, and lots of other safety equipment up along this section in through here on the steering wheel. Because there's so much safety equipment on this car, I've actually put a section on the very end of the video, which is about 3.5 minutes long, which goes through all the safety on the car, called the Honda Sensing Suite. The digital clocks up through here then, they have temperature of the engine, fuel amount in through here, speedo here, revolution counter which is electronic. Over here, this is another feature I'm going to tell you about in a little while. After that then, there is how much servicing is left on the car, fuel, speed zones, all that kind of information displayed in through here. And because this is an automatic then, we have paddle shift, which we're going to see in a little while when we go for a drive in the car as well. The shifter then is park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then there's a sport mode, which is much more aggressive in terms of how the car develops power. And other things in through here then, we have an economy function to reduce how aggressive the cruise control air conditioner is, start stop to save us fuel at a traffic light, and then after that we got a brake hold, or we also got our electronic handbrake. Brake hold less useful because the car is automatic, so it really doesn't want to roll backwards, but this is an added system to stop you rolling backwards, and then the handbrake couldn't be simpler to use. In through the centre then, you got USB, you got an armrest, which is leather, goes backwards and forwards, you got a drinks holder, which can open out into 2 drinks holders. Then we have HDMI if you want to play video, and you got USB in through here, and then 12 volt over through there. In through the centre then is Honda Connect, which has things like your reverse camera, which is different modes, so we can have like a zoom function or a wide panoramic mode. It also has cross monitor. So normally reverse cameras, when you're going back out, they show you where you're going, they got dynamic guidelines depending on the direction that you're traveling, and then you can zoom them and you can have different modes. Cross monitor is actually looking outside of the visual field, so if something is coming from the right or the left or wherever it is, it's outside the visual field. An arrow will come up to say there's something coming which actually isn't in the line of sight yet, so really handy reversing out of a driveway. And again, that is unique on the premium. The seats are heated down through here, and you've got dual zone climate control, so different temperatures on each side of the car. Honda Connect then, after that's going to have things like navigation, which is Garmin. You're going to have your audio up through there, which has a number of different sources, so things like Bluetooth music, or you're going to have radio, which is medium wave, long wave, it's digital, and then you've got a number of USB connectors, and you've also got audio apps, which I'll talk about in a sec. After that then you've trip information, general settings, but here's the thing, a smartphone connection, which is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is basically if you've got an Apple phone, you literally plug in the lead and it starts. It's really simple. It uses all the apps that you got on your phone. If you've got Android Auto, you need to download the app, then you can plug it in, and then you can use the apps that are on your phone as well. So here's the thing, you would actually disband everything that's on there and you would just start using your phone through the car, which is very cool for things like Google Maps or Spotify or any of the other apps that you normally use. I mean, you can normally Bluetooth stream them, but it's just more seamless when you've actually got it up there on your screen through the smartphone connection. Because we're in a premium then, we have an electrochromatic rear mirror, which means when someone drives up behind you, it darkens itself. It doesn't actually have a daytime nighttime that you have to manage. Anywho, I reckon it's time to go for a drive. So let us go for a spin out the road. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the car accelerates like from 0 to 120 as we join the motorway, and we're going to drive down a back road to show you how it handles, and I'm just going to show you the paddles as well. One cool thing actually, and I can't really show you because I don't have the camera equipment, but if you see the flashing light, Because it's a premium model, it's got sensors on the rear of the car, so in the blind spot, it's actually going to tell you if someone is on your rear left or your rear right that you actually haven't seen in the mirror. They're in the blind spot. This lights up to tell you they're there. Very cool. The engine on this car is really unbelievable. It's a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo, but it develops 127 horsepower. And I think it actually sounds lovely. It makes some nice turbo sounds and there's a nice thump off it when you drive it. Thing, right? That is a cool engine and we sell lots of them with the manual gearbox. We would sell more automatics, but they're more expensive to buy, especially a car like this, a premium automatic. This is a very expensive car, brand new. But this gearbox actually gets the best out of this engine because the turbo never gets a chance to lag. It constantly just pulls. Let's see what it's like in terms of acceleration. And just before we get stuck into acceleration, one thing I did want to show was, and it is relevant to acceleration, you get a D mode, which is a normal drive mode, or you can pull it back into an S. And as you see, D, if we're cruising here at 50 odd kilometers an hour, we're sitting at 1500 RPM. If we pull it back into S, we're still cruising at 50 odd kilometers an hour, but the engine revolutions have jumped by 1,000, which means if I put my foot down, we're going into an 80, it's much more responsive. I quite like the idea of the paddle. So say for example, if we're doing, you know, I don't know, 60 kilometers an hour here, I can drop back down into second, I can floor the car, second, into third, into fourth, into fifth, and then I can slow down similarly, 5, 4, 3. It's fun. You just get to engage with the car. The Civic, I'm going to leave in D for the moment. I really love the way the suspension is compared to the old one. So it's independent again, so you got 4 different suspension setups on each wheel. Over bumps and compressions and turns like this, it's just enjoyable to drive. It's really sure-footed. I like what I said, look, you can have fun on a back road like this. You don't have to be going very fast. Just engaging with the car, things like in this case the paddles and all that kind of stuff, makes it more enjoyable. And the car is really wide, so it feels really predictable. I like to say with this engine, the whole thing with this is the turbo never gets a chance to lag because you're not going into gears, the turbo is constantly spinning, so you don't lose the power, so you floor it. I'd have great fun in this car. Anyway, it's all very well me telling you how great the car is. Honestly, I wouldn't say this if I didn't believe that you would come and try the car and be impressed with it. Gearbox is quite nice. Some people complain about CVTs because they roar, but as you see, the whole reason they've put in these kind of simulated gears rather than actual gears is that it doesn't give you that roaring sensation, so it feels like it's going up through gears, but it's giving you good power. One thing I've just realised, I've spent quite a bit of time talking about how people are going to drive this car aggressively, and you know what? Very few people are. The people that want to buy this car, they want something economical, they want something that's fun to drive, but they still want something that's quite relaxing. And that's what this car is. It's an automatic car with a nice specification, with great comfort features. But they can be very fuel efficient, especially with the CVT. It is more fuel efficient than a manual gearbox from my experience. So the reason being, you can tick over lower when you're cruising because of that kind of simulated 7th gear, which means people will average somewhere in the region of around 45 or so miles per gallon. But if you're an idiot like me, it's still nice to know that the car can be fun to drive. It's even got the ability to stiffen the dampers. And by doing that, the car basically ends up with less body roll when it's going around corners if you're driving aggressively, which means you can turn around or drive around the corner quicker than you would in a car that doesn't have the option. So as you can see, there's an absolute ton of features on the car, but guess what? There's even more. When it comes to safety, this little panel on the steering wheel here plays a massive role in safety on this particular car. Let's face it, roads are really busy these days and people are really busy too. So people are really tired with so much traffic, there's bound to be incidents. Well, this kind of car, it's going to help you stay safe. Starting off, the headlights have high beam support and they're fully automated, and so are the wipers. When you're driving through a country area, then the headlights will be on full. Once you come into something like a lit up area, the lights dim, but once you get back into an unlit area, then they go back into full. Once you meet oncoming traffic, they'll automatically dip. So this car has come over the hill, the headlights have dipped. Once the car has passed by us, the lights go into full automatic mode and headlights come on again. This kind of stuff means that you have less to do, which means you have more ability to concentrate on what's in front of you. The wipers are also the same. Wipers then will sense the rain depending how heavy it is, so it'll work on various intermittencies just depending how much water is falling. It's also going to be equipped with a speed sign recognition. It's got a little camera up front and it's always watching the road ahead. In this case then, as we're about to leave the town, we move from a 50 into a 60 zone. which the car is recognised, and actually it's a very short 60 zone, and then we move into an 80 zone. And while that's really cool by itself, it's got a really cool function in the fact that you can link it to the speed limiter. The speed limiter has two ways of working. I've got a limit which limits my speed, so I've limited to 90, I'm flooring the car, it won't go past 90, or I can limit to the speed zone. We know it's 100 because it says 100 over here. The car's going to accelerate up to 100. And now it's telling us that we're exceeding the speed limit. We're going to slow down to 100. I'm going to floor it again. And it keeps telling us that we're exceeding. I'll tell you now that it's going to save you a speeding fine one of the days, but there's other things on this car that are going to try and keep you on the road as well. The lane change warning, so we have the assist up here, but the warning is down here. And it just means if I drift into the white line, you can see the vibrating steering, and it's pushed us back, but it's not actually trying to keep us. What it's doing is just going to keep ping-ponging from left to right. Not as comfortable, but useful just for a warning. If I'd used my indicator, there would have been no problem. This one here, which we'll have a look at, is the lane keep assist. With lane keep assist, I'll hit this button here. I've got a symbol up through here. As you can see, we're going to go around the corner. I know I shouldn't do it, but technically, the car is going to keep us between the two lines for about 10 seconds or so. And eventually then you'll see a warning coming in here, which is telling us that we need to get our hands back on the wheel. But I am covering the wheel just to be safe. The car is still guiding us up to the centre, and now it's told us, put your hands back on the wheel. So basically, it's going to stop you exceeding the speed limit, and it's also going to keep you on the road, but it's also going to keep you away from the cars that are ahead of you. First thing we do is we set the cruise control. So turn it on, set it. At the moment then there is no car actually in front of us. So the reason that the silhouette is completely empty is that there's no car in front of us. We're just set like normal cruise control. So we're going to stay at 77 kilometers per hour. Once wherever traffic comes in front of us, you'll see the symbol has lit up to say that there is now a car identified by the camera. And we can basically now choose how far do we want to stay behind the car in front, so various distances, and the car will respect that. If the car in front slows down, we slows down. If the car ahead speeds up, we speed up until we get to that maximum of 90 kilometers an hour that we've set ourselves. So as you can see, the Honda Sensing kit, which is based on that part of the steering wheel, is trying to keep you safe on the roads, which, let's face it, are extremely busy and dangerous these days. So there you have it. That is a 1 litre, 127 horsepower, CVT automatic, Honda Civic, and that is what's called a premium model. If there's information you want on this car, please do not hesitate to give me a shout. Call, text, WhatsApp 086 843 1945, and I'll go through information on the car, information on financing, information on trade-in, whatever you want to know about the car. Or if you're watching on YouTube and you think the video is useful, please do like and subscribe, because it lets me know the video is useful. Or if I've missed anything and you think I can do it better, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to make a video to suit whatever you need. So hopefully this car is of interest, and thank you for taking time to watch.